It wasn't long ago that General Motors said vertical integration does not work. Now, they're trying to achieve it. When I recently learned just how much General Motors relies on Hyundai for its electric vehicle parts, I have to admit I was a little bit concerned, which is one of the key reasons I was so excited to see General Motors' investment in their electric vehicle parts factory. This is nearly $1 billion going into making them themselves. Vertical integration is key to success in the new electric vehicle world. Clearly, Tesla and BYD have proven that beyond any question of a doubt. They're the only two companies in the world making any kind of money whatsoever from their EVs. Now General Motors looks to follow in their footsteps. Good move. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel on the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Wonderful to have you. We have done about 2,000 videos since we started this channel just over a year and a half ago. Lots of content there that you can check out over the next year as you come home from work or even drive to work. A lot of the content we share, we make it in a way that you can actually just listen to it. So if you want to, turn off the actual viewing and just, play it like a podcast while you're driving to work or while you're on the train to work or whatever that may be. Big thanks to you guys for subscribing. To the new subscribers, thank you for coming on board too. GM is investing $760 million in an Ohio plant to build drive units for the EV Hummer, Silverado, and Sierra. Now, I had a conversation today with someone saying, people are getting a bit confused here. I think we're getting a bit distracted. General Motors needs, more than anything else, to efficiently make the Silverado electric pickup truck. That's their bread and butter. That's where their true profit margins will come from. So, making the drive units for the EV Hummer and the Silverado and the Sierra, that's a really good start. GM actually announced on Friday it's going to be investing $760 million into its plant in Toledo, Ohio, getting it ready for an electric future. Now, Electric says that GM has been active in the past few months as it's gearing up for what's expected to be a massive transition to electric vehicles. Friday's announcement is the latest in a string of events indicating GM is aggressively targeting the EV market, aggressively going after Tesla, they say. I don't see it that way, really. It's not a zero-sum game right now. Remember, there's still a lot of manufacturers making gasoline-powered vehicles when right now about 93.5% of all vehicles sold in the US are gasoline-powered. Key biggest reason for that is simply because, there's not many companies making many EVs in the US. Europe, different story. China, different story. GM taking sales, it's not going to take away sales from Tesla. I don't see it that way. It's going to take away sales from other companies making gasoline-powered vehicles. GM's CFO claimed the automaker was hitting an inflection point in scaling EV production as it worked to become a leader in battery cell production. Has it reached an inflection point? Well, I'm not so sure that executive actually understands the definition of an inflection point, or maybe they learned about it in college and they've forgotten fully what the definition is. So let's have a look at what an inflection point is. An inflection point is where a curve changes from concave upward to concave downward. So the task we have is to find where a curve goes from concave upward to concave downward, or vice versa. Clearly, this executive is referring to a concave upward trend for General Motors when it comes to EVs. Now, have they hit that point? Statistically, mathematically, I would certainly hope they have not, because if they have hit that point, then GM's future is, it's abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal because they delivered 7,000 electric cars in the second quarter of the year, right? That's 7,000 over a 3-month period. So no, GM is nowhere near hitting this inflection point. Probably will hit it within the next 1 or 2 years, but let's hope for their sake that executive was wrong when he said GM has just hit an inflection point. Maybe it means an inflection point in excitement, in their mission to build EVs, in their the company's changing its strategy inflection point. We can go with that, but obviously mathematically, in terms of production, they're a million miles away from it. Or at least one would hope so anyway. Now, GM's CFO claimed that GM will become a leader in battery cell production. Worldwide, will they? Absolutely not. That is complete fantasy. Will they in the United States? Yes, absolutely. Their goal to be able to have 170 gigawatt hours of battery production by the end of 20 2025 will definitely make them a leader within the United States. And that is a really, really good start. The company's joint venture, Ultium Cells, with LG Energy, LG Chem, one of the world's biggest petrochemical companies, has 4 planned battery cell plants. I just made a video showing one of them that has recently opened, which is really exciting news. They're producing Ultium packs now and cells in that factory in Ohio. I'll put a link in the description below to the video. Now, I had a discussion with someone today about Chevy's Equinox EV for $30,000 US. I don't think it's physically possible. Having a look at Tesla's cost for its Model 3 to produce the Model 3 using lithium iron phosphate batteries, I believe that's around Tesla's cost price to produce the Model 3 using lithium iron phosphate batteries. Now, the thing is with these Ultium batteries that General Motors are producing, they're much more expensive. They are. It's just simply a mathematical reality. There's nothing General Motors can do about that. They can improve their efficiency. They can make the battery price come down a bit, maybe 20%. But can it come anywhere near close to producing lithium iron phosphate battery packs in China? No, of course it can't. So the $30,000 Equinox EV, I believe, is just a marketing stunt from GM. But even if they cost $40,000, which is possible, that is a good move. And I think it will bring a lot of fans, GM, gasoline-powered fans, I think it'll make a lot of them go, you know what? It's time for an EV. Now, truthfully, a lot of people who watch this channel, a lot of, real EV fans see GM's progress this year and last year and the year before as disappointing, which is fair. I mean, its electric vehicle production was higher last year than what it's been this year. Well, sort of for part of last year anyway. I mean, they did completely shut down their electric vehicle factory last year after the battery problems, and they sent everyone home from that factory for 8 months. Everyone was home on permanent holiday. They're getting paid about 75% of their usual salaries. So my key question to you here, one I've asked people before is, if your company said to you, you can have an 8-month holiday, we'll pay you 75% of your normal pay, would you take it? I'm curious to know what you would do. But anyhow, getting back to General Motors and their EV production, I mean, they produced 26 EVs in the fourth quarter of last year, which, it's because of something that was outside of the control. Or was it? Well, within the last few weeks, different electric vehicle manufacturers, car manufacturers, have started to reveal they're diversifying their production. They're diversifying what? In particular, their battery supply. Ford has started to do it. Guess who else is doing it? XPeng, they've said they're doing it. They're no longer relying on CATL, the world's largest battery manufacturer, as their primary supplier. I mean, as you know, Tesla has 6 different suppliers and they make batteries themselves. That's one key area where GM needs to make a change. Now, it's good to see them manufacturing these drive motors for what will be by far their biggest selling vehicles and by far their biggest money makers. That's excellent. But they definitely need to diversify batteries. If the only way they can get batteries is by making them themselves with LG Chem in the US using ternary battery materials, cobalt, nickel, aluminium, etc., the more expensive battery versions versus LFP, then they could be in for the same issue in the future. They may have to recall. And you know what? They have just recalled them. Ultium battery packs in the Hummer EV. They've had to recall them for a fault. So they had to stop the battery production and they had to stop the factory, the electric vehicle factory, once again. Now, you would think by now General Motors would have learnt their lesson and said, you know what? We need to diversify our battery production because everything's getting stopped. Everything. It's being held up completely. But if they weren't so reliant on one battery supplier, LG Chem, truthfully, it's just LG Chem, who have had more battery recalls than every battery company in the world put together over the last 2 years. If they weren't so reliant on them, then I think we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be saying, look at GM, look how abysmal their EV sales are. They're saying they're going to do 1 million in 2025. Is that really possible considering their current delivery figures? We might be saying, you know what? Look how well they're going. They are really possibly in with a real shot to hit their goals in 2025. That's my call out. General Motors, if you're watching this vehicle, for your own sake, for your production numbers' sake, for the sanity and health of your employees who have been sitting at home for 8 months, please diversify your battery supply chain. GM's announcement Friday to upgrade its Ohio plant to get it ready to make EV drive units, though, is a step in the right direction. Vertical integration. We know that worked for Tesla. They were criticized for it. Now we know it works. Who else does vertical integration incredibly well? BYD. Now, it's no coincidence that they're the only two manufacturers in the world of electric vehicles who are making a profit. GM's 2.8 million square feet facility in Toledo, Ohio, manufactures transmissions for several iconic GM models. Now, obviously, EVs of the future and EVs of now don't need a transmission. I mean, what did Elon Musk say? The best part is no part. This concept that I've been seeing pop up all over YouTube and all over, message boards, arguments and discussions about adding a transmission, having a 2-speed transmission, it's nonsensical. It's completely unnecessary. And the amount that it would improve efficiency is negated by the whole concept of having a transmission in the first place, which actually reduces efficiencies. No, it doesn't make it more efficient as a vehicle unless you need to drive at 200 kilometers an hour, which you do not. So clearly, GM can go from making transmissions at this plant to making electric motor parts. Now, I hope GM doesn't go the transmission route for EVs. I don't think they will. They haven't said that they're going to, because they don't need to. What they need to do is do what they're doing and start changing their parts production, going from using Hyundai electric vehicle parts to using their own. Now, according to the press release, the upgrades will prepare the facility to start manufacturing these EV drivetrains pretty much immediately. Gerald Johnson, Executive Vice President of GM Global Manufacturing and Sustainability, spoke on how the new investments benefit both facility workers as well as the automaker. He said, "Our Toledo team has a long, proud history of building great products, and they've worked hard to earn this investment. This investment helps build job security for our Toledo team for years to come and is the next step on our journey to an all-electric future. Construction will begin this month. The team at Toledo will begin manufacturing transmissions while scaling the ability to make drive units for its EV models at the same time. The plan has about 1,500 employees currently, yet GM says the investment will bring more employees along in the company's EV transformation." Now, I see GM doing something Ford isn't. Ford's firing a lot of employees. They've fired, nearly 10,000 people this year. But GM doesn't seem to be doing that. GM seems to be taking the different mindset, different way of operating, and retraining employees. Now, that's something I think Ford could consider, maybe should consider doing. Now, the recent announcements from GM, there's been a few of them over the past few weeks, have been extremely promising. I like the direction they're heading in. I think it's good, it's positive, few small other changes, and hopefully Mary Barra's promises can look a little bit less fantastical and more realistic over the coming 12 months. Let me know if you think that will happen in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.